Welcome to Everyday Woman, and we have Reese Alexander, HR exec with the Sassy Suit, back to help older workers find work. Thanks for being here, Reese.
It's a pleasure.
Well, I know it's really scary out there for older people who maybe, their work isn't as stable as they want it. In fact, my mother-in-law, she's mid-60s, was given a month to say, well, we're going to lay you off. She was freaking out. But luckily, within a month, she was able to find a new job, she had to move to a new city.
And sometimes you have to do that.
But in 2 months, she moved and started her job. But for other older workers, women especially, is it really that easy to find a job that quickly?
It's not. It's not. And congratulations, that she was able to do that. But it's not that easy for most people. A lot of people have been affected because of the economy. They've had to take early retirement. But I say that it's not the end of the world. You just have to rethink and retool your game plan. For a lot of older workers, your skill sets have some value, so don't discredit that. And I know it's scary because you're oftentimes competing against, younger people or people with less experience, and they're looking for MBAs. If you have an MBA, that's great. But even for entry-level positions where typically they wouldn't require all of the education to go along with that, they're looking for that nowadays. But it's still, don't be afraid of that. I think older workers have a lot of skill sets that are very valuable. One, if you are displaced for whatever reason and you're out of a job, I would suggest that you volunteer. A lot of times those skill sets, especially if you're at a volunteer organization where you're able to use leadership abilities, managing experience, those sort of skill sets can help you in terms of identifying your next career. Also, don't be afraid to change careers. That may be the blessing in disguise, because what you used to do may not be the job that you were meant to do. And definitely, utilize all the resources, whether that's social media, YouTube, because you have a skill set, and sometimes it's sitting down with a trusted advisor or mentor to say, I was displaced from my last job. While I did it for 25, 30 years, I want to do something different. And maybe you aren't utilizing the skills and abilities that you really should be using. And ask them to really assess, what do you think I'm good at? Because it may be totally different than what you think you're good at.
Well, when most employers see an older worker walk in, are they just seeing big dollar signs of how much you're going to cost me? Do most older workers have to think, like, I'm just going to have to cut back, I'm going to have to volunteer or take a pay cut? And that's daunting, knowing that they're trying to save up for retirement.
Right. Well, you may have to take a pay cut. You got to do what you got to do until you can do it.
Absolutely. Well, my mother-in-law was very lucky. I mean, she, like you're saying, she was able to get a better job, better salary.
That's rare.
That she would have never even thought of if, she hadn't been pushed out of the last job, or, they hadn't reorged.
Exactly. You have to step out of your comfort zone and look at all opportunities, because it may be totally different than what you thought that they would be. You don't want to rule out anything. Use your network. Networking is one of the best ways to go about doing that, because you never know, the 6 degrees of separation. It is so true, especially these days. You never know who someone knows, because it really is a small world.
Well, especially, the good thing about being older is you have more people that you do know, and like you're saying, their network. But what about social media? I mean, what if, there's people, my parents don't like to get online.
Well, again, it's, if you're afraid to get online, get with, like in your case, you are a resource for your parents to get online. Ask someone that's familiar with social media to help you learn the basics. And you don't need to get on there to, start tweeting a whole bunch of stuff.
You don't need to be a coder or anything like that.
You don't need to do that. But you should use it, because a lot of employers are using it. And it's a good resource, because you can find yourself connected to people that you typically wouldn't be connected to, and you're able to find jobs. I know people that have found positions via Twitter.
And how does that work? Because I don't, that seems really foreign to me. I'm not really great at Twitter. How do you find jobs on Twitter?
Okay, well, someone was tweeting some information, some relevant information, not bashing someone. It was about a position and some experience that they had, and they were mentioning that, I have this skill set. I understand that you've tweeted this a number of times. I'd like to send you my information. Sure enough, they sent it over, and next thing that they know, they had an interview.
Well, that's the way to do it. Don't be
Exactly.
afraid. Get
Don't be
out
afraid.
there. You just never know what
never
might be
know.
out there.
Exactly.
Thanks so much for that information, Reese. And to get more information, you can go to reesealexander.net. We'll be back.